Welcome back to Record Rift, where we tear through history's pages to reveal the moments that shaped our world. Today, we're diving into the Suez Crisis of 1956, a fiery clash in the Middle East that marked the twilight of European empires. Picture a bold Egyptian leader, a vital canal, and a secret plot by Britain, France, and Israel that backfired spectacularly. This wasn't just a conflict over a waterway. It was a turning point that humbled colonial powers and reshaped global politics. Why did the Suez Canal ignite such a storm? How did it signal the end of empire? Join us as we explore the Suez Crisis, a saga of ambition, betrayal, and a new world order. Let's set sail into the chaos. In 1956, the Suez Canal was a lifeline of global trade, carrying oil from the Middle East to Europe. Built in 1869 under French and Egyptian oversight, it was controlled by the British-dominated Suez Canal Company, a symbol of colonial power. Britain, weakened by World War II, relied on the canal to maintain influence in the Middle East, while France sought to protect its interests in North Africa. Egypt, under British occupation until 1952, was simmering with nationalist fervor. Enter Gamal Abdel Nasser, Egypt's charismatic president. Rise into power in 1952 after a coup ousted King Farouk, Nasser dreamed of a strong, independent Egypt. He championed Arab nationalism, opposing Western dominance. In 1955, he secured arms from the Soviet Union, alarming the West. When the U.S. and Britain withdrew funding for Egypt's Aswan Dam project in July 1956, Nasser retaliated by nationalizing the Suez Canal, seizing control from foreign shareholders. This bold move, announced to cheering crowds, enraged Britain and France, who saw it as a threat to their economies and prestige. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown. Britain, France, and Israel hatched a clandestine plan, the Protocol of Sèvres, to retake the canal. The scheme was audacious. Israel would invade Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, giving Britain and France a pretext to intervene as peacekeepers and occupy the canal zone. On October 29, 1956, Israeli forces attacked, swiftly advancing toward Suez. As planned, Britain and France issued an ultimatum demanding both sides withdraw, knowing Egypt would refuse. When Nasser rejected it, Anglo-French forces bombed Egyptian airfields and landed troops at Port Said on November 5th, aiming to seize the canal. Egypt fought back fiercely. Nasser sank ships to block the canal, crippling global trade and mobilized militias. Egyptian resistance, though outgunned, slowed the invaders. The operation, meant to be swift, unraveled as global outrage grew. The United States, led by President Eisenhower, condemned the invasion, fearing it would push Arab nations toward the Soviet Union. The USSR threatened intervention, raising Cold War tensions. Public protests in London and Paris exposed divisions, while the United Nations demanded a ceasefire. The invaders' gamble was collapsing under diplomatic and economic pressure. The Suez Crisis ended in a stunning reversal. The U.S., wielding financial leverage, threatened to destabilize Britain's economy by selling sterling bonds, forcing Prime Minister Anthony Eden to back down. France, relying on British support, followed suit. On November 6, 1956, a UN-brokered ceasefire halted fighting, and by December, Anglo-French troops withdrew, humiliated. Israel, under pressure, retreated from Sinai by March 1957. The UN deployed its first peacekeeping force, UNEF, to secure the canal zone. Egypt emerged triumphant. Nasser's nationalization held, and the canal remained under Egyptian control, a symbol of anti-colonial victory. The crisis cost hundreds of lives, mostly Egyptian, and disrupted global trade, with the canal closed until April 1957. Britain and France lost face, their imperial decline laid bare. Eden resigned in January 1957, while Nasser became a hero of the Arab world, inspiring anti-colonial movements across Africa and Asia. The crisis marked a shift, with the U.S. and Soviet Union asserting dominance as Europe's empires faded. The Suez Crisis was a death knell for European imperialism in the Middle East. Britain's withdrawal from the region accelerated, with colonies like Iraq and Jordan gaining independence by 1958. France faced growing unrest in Algeria, leading to its independence in 1962. The crisis exposed the limits of European power in a world now dominated by U.S. and Soviet influence. The Cold War intensified as both superpowers courted Middle Eastern nations, fueling regional tensions. In Egypt, Nasser's prestige soared, but challenges persisted. The canal's nationalization boosted Egypt's economy, but his authoritarian rule and later defeats, like the 1967 Six-Day War, tarnished his legacy. The crisis also strained Western alliances. Britain and France felt betrayed by U.S. opposition, while NATO faced internal rifts. Globally, the Suez Crisis emboldened decolonization, inspiring movements in Ghana, Algeria, and beyond. It was a moment when the old imperial order crumbled and a new, uncertain world emerged, shaped by nationalism and superpower rivalry. The Suez Crisis of 1956 was a pivotal moment, marking the end of European empires as global powers. It cemented the U.S. and Soviet Union as superpowers, reshaping the Middle East geopolitical landscape. The crisis empowered Arab nationalism, with Nasser's defiance inspiring leaders like Algeria's Ben Bella and Libya's Gaddafi. The Suez Canal, now a symbol of sovereignty, remains a vital global artery, its importance undiminished. Culturally, the crisis left its mark in films, novels, and political cartoons, capturing the era's tensions. It also highlighted the power of economic and diplomatic pressure over military might, a lesson for modern conflicts. The UN's peacekeeping role, born at Suez, became a model for conflict resolution. The crisis reminds us of the fragility of empires and the rise of new voices in a decolonizing world, a turning point that echoes in today's global struggles for power and independence. That's the electrifying saga of the Suez Crisis, a clash that ended empires and reshaped the Middle East. What do you think? Could Britain and France have succeeded, or was their defeat inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what historical showdown you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If this journey through 1956 gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep uncovering the rifts that shape our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.